is up, guys? Welcome back to Truth and Transparency Monday night. It is November the 10th. This episode, Idaho 4 police body camera and 1122 King Road search warrant. The police body camera is from an MPD visit to Walmart, and actually it is on 11/14/2022. I'm going to play that right after I show you guys. Here is the 1122 King Road, Moscow Latau County, Idaho. This is the search warrant for the house to go in. That's what they were waiting for, is to get the search warrant. And so this was the original search warrant that Mitch Noonan's wrote up. The first time anybody has ever seen this would have been if you've taken the time to go through 2,500 pages from the Idaho State Police lab document drop. What I want to point out is this search warrant because it's really interesting. First, right here, Officer Mitch Noonan's. He is, for approximately 2.5 years, has been a patrol officer, and he is he believes that there is probable cause for information regarding the deaths of Kaylee, Ethan, Xana, and Maddie on the property referred to and sought in or upon said premises, which consists of there we go. Human remains. So in order to process and take the bodies, you need one of these. So that's why number one. Number two, I'm going to zoom in and make it as big as possible. Blood or other bodily fluids or materials and items with blood or other bodily fluids or material on or in or near them. Firearms, knives, other weapons or instruments or instrumentalities of injury, of death, ammunition, holsters, magazines, sheaths, expended bullets, fired casings, other portions or elements of ammunition or other items associated with firearms, other weapons or instrumentalities of injury or death, and sales receipts or documentation from purchases or acquisitions of such items. Look at this one. Number 4, fireworks or other evidence of explosive materials. Now, since it was Bethany on the bottom floor that had said this, right? I think it's interesting that they wanted to make a temporary command area right there, right away on, the entryway on the bottom floor without looking at it. Okay. So without processing anything, it was just like, boom, I just started bringing up all the gear. Okay. So I made a note to say that they staged on top of this area. Now, I didn't see them look for at any point in time, try to find any receipts or anything to do with like knives or guns or whatever. Like, I don't even know if anybody asked any one of the victims or the surviving roommates rather, hey, did you guys like have any, like, did any of your roommates have, guns or whatever in the house to, like, I don't know, protect yourselves? I don't think that was asked. I haven't heard that in one interview. And so I think it's interesting that it would be, something that they were looking for, right? And yet they're not even asking about it. Now, documents, records, medications, drugs, or other substances, prescription or otherwise, bottles, labels, syringes, packaging, and other items associated with medications, drugs, or other substances, prescription or otherwise, that could relate to physical or mental states of assailants or victims. To or containing information indicating, suggesting, or otherwise evidencing violence, a shooting slash physical attack, a fight, or motive slash hostility for any of the same. You guys, nobody's been talking about any of this because it is buried in and within these 2,500 pages. These officers had to be sitting around talking about how they wanted to word the language so that they could obtain things and take things, okay? Look at what, I mean, so they're thinking that people in the house could potentially have anger issues or something's like that they're taking something that could have had them, I guess, get in some type of rage. Yeah. Next. Footprints, fingerprints, fibers, or other physical or trace evidence or items bearing these relating to or containing information indicating, suggesting, or related to violence, a shooting, a fight, or motive, hostility for any of the same. Evidence of sexual activity, including, without limitation, sexual devices, lubricants, condoms, and items that may contain bodily fluids associated with sexual activity. So this is interesting though. Okay. This would be like anywhere in the house then. It's not limited to, it's 1122 King Road residence. All anywhere. Okay, anywhere. Okay. Next. Alcoholic beverages, other intoxicants, and any containers or receipts for the same. They didn't seize any of that stuff. They didn't seize anything to do with any of those cans and nothing until days later when they went back in there. Next, data. Here we go. Compilations relating to or containing information indicating, suggesting, or related to violence, stabbing, a shooting, a fight, or motive, hostility for any of the same, to include without limitation ledgers, papers, lists, books, notes, letters, calendars, diaries, tapes, photographs, videos, or other media or similar documents or items, computer and communication devices capable of storing electronic data, other electronic storage devices, and media, and access to contents of all of the above. All electronic devices, including all communications content, including email, text, SMS, MMS, or app chats, applications, cloud storage, notes or voicemail, including attachments, source, and designation addresses, time and date of information, connection logs, images, and other records, including indicia of use, ownership, possession, or control of such communication or information found. Now remember, this is for the stuff that's inside the house. This would not be the surviving roommate's cell phones. They're with them. This is going to be for every device though that's in that house. Next. Again, videotapes, diaries, calendars, photographs, videos. Where are we at here? GPS, which may be stored in GPS locations or cellular tower connection data, including metadata of photos or social network posts, Wi-Fi logs, and data associated with installed applications, all photographic, video, audio data, and associated metadata, all internet history for the above, including cookies, bookmarks, web history, and search terms, all stored IP addresses associated, all financial information related to the above, all indicia of ownership and control for the data and the cellular device, such as device identification and settings, data, address, for books, contacts, social network posts, updates, tags, Wi-Fi network tables, associated wireless devices, Wi-Fi networks or Bluetooth devices, associated connected devices, backup devices, and stored passwords or user dictionaries, indica of residency in or ownership or possession of the premises and any of the above items. This is located in or upon the following described premises, which is obviously the house. And then also then they have the vehicles. Okay. Now, in support of the assertion as to the existence of probable cause, the following facts are offered based upon personal knowledge of Mitch Noonan's personal knowledge. See a statement of Mitch Noonan, which is marked Exhibit A and incorporated as though fully set forth herein. Wherefore, affiant asserts there is probable cause for the issuance of the search warrant requested herein, and that execution of said warrant will be accomplished by service of said warrant on the named provider, and requests that a search warrant be issued directing a search for and seizure of the property described herein. I declare under penalty of perjury pursuant to the law of the state of Idaho that the foregoing is true and accurate. And so here is Exhibit A, statement of Mitch Noonan's. And this is when I say that this is like, here is your original Exhibit A. Here's the first affidavit for probable cause in this case, which is getting the search warrant to the property of 1122 King Road. So when they say that they had this working document that Payne, typed up and began like a working document. Well, let's take a look at this document and see what ends up happening from this to the PCA that Payne said that he started working on, weeks before the arrest. And so here we go. Again, welcome into Truth and Transparency. It's a Monday night. All right, so Exhibit A, statement of Mitch Noonan's. Here we go. Make this bigger for me. Okay, on 11/13/2022 at approximately 11:56 hours, I responded to an unconscious subject at 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho. Upon my arrival, I found a large gathering of people in the parking lot immediately north of the 1122 King Road residence. 1122 King Road is a white 3-story single-family residence with multiple bedrooms. The 1122 designation is located directly above the front door, facing north. I was directed to a bedroom on the second floor in the northwest corner to locate the unresponsive female. Upon entering the room, I observed a female laying supine on the floor, and that means on her back, okay, supine on the floor, next to a bed. According to Dylan Mortensen, this female was likely Kaylee Gonsalves. Redacted here, don't know what it says. I observed dry blood surrounding Kaylee's body and signs of cutting trauma to her face. Now, we all know that it was not Kaylee, but it was Xana. But this is what's in this affidavit. Next. Again, I observed dry blood around surrounding Kaylee's body and signs of cutting trauma to her face. Kaylee was covered in so much blood, I wasn't able to immediately discern where any additional injuries would have likely been. Kaylee was apparently deceased due to her pale skin color, rigid body tone, and apparent blood loss. On the bed in the same room, I observed Kaylee. I observed a male lying supine on the bed. According to Blank, the male was likely Ethan. Blank said Ethan was commonly at the residence. I observed blood covering portions of Ethan's legs, surrounding his body into the bed sheets, and drops of blood on the wall near Ethan's head. Officer Warner and I moved to visually clear the residence for any suspects or additional victims. On the third floor, Officer Warner and I found two additional apparently deceased females, both lying supine in a bed. This bedroom was on the southwest corner of the floor of the third floor. According to Dylan, these two females were likely Xana and Madison. One female showed an apparent traumatic injury to her face due to the basic facial structure. Both females showed very pale skin. Both females were covered in dry blood and apparently deceased. After the residence was deemed safe, Officer Warner and I exited the residence to secure it and the immediate area, to include the parking lot immediately to the north of the residence. I walked out and began interviewing Dylan Mortensen. Told me at approximately 4 o'clock, 400 hours, she heard a voice scream and believed it to be Kaylee's. Dylan said she heard Kaylee scream and announced there was somebody inside the residence. Dylan said she could hear Kaylee run from the third floor, down the stairs to the second floor, into the northwest bedroom. Dylan said that she locked herself in her room and continued to hear a commotion. Dylan said eventually she stopped hearing a struggle and heard a male voice say, "You're gonna be fine. I'm gonna help you." Dylan said that she did not recognize the male's voice. Dylan said after a few minutes, she peeked out of her bedroom and observed a male described as approximately 6 feet tall, slim build with a black ski mask leave the second floor patio area. This patio door was likely left open as it was found open upon my arrival. I interviewed an additional roommate, Bethany, who told me she was at the residence during the commotion. Bethany said at approximately, what does that say? I don't know. Oh. At approximately 2 on 11/13/2022, Madison and Kaylee came home from a night out at the Corner Club bar located at 202 North Main Street. Bethany said she also believed Madison and Kaylee went to the Grub Wandering Kitchen truck that was commonly located in the 300 block of South Main. Bethany said she and Madison let Madison's dog out, Murphy, sometime between 2 and 2:30. Bethany said during this time, she observed no suspicious activity. Bethany said she returned inside and began watching Vampire Diaries with Blank and an unidentified person named Blank. Bethany was not sure when she went to bed, but said she woke up in her bedroom, which was located on the first floor, to a sound she described as a firecracker and a flash. Bethany said she initially thought the sound was a prank. According to now, hang tight. I personally believe that Steve Gonsalves would have read this, sees this, and this is where all this is developing. This whole prank, this whole. But I'm going to continue reading it to the end and then explain a bunch of this. Okay, so Bethany said she initially thought the sound was a prank. According to Blank's phone log she showed me, which is Bethany's, Bethany called Xana at 4:21, Ethan at 4:22, Madison at 4:22, Madison again at 4:30, and Kaylee at 4:31. Bethany said she never received an answer on each phone call. Bethany said she went back to sleep and woke up around 11:56 when 911 was called. I am requesting a search warrant for 1122 King Road for any violence related to the deaths of Kaylee, Ethan, Xana, Maddie, as well as the following vehicles located within the parking lot. Well, and then signed. Now, this was in the hands of, when Blaker and Payne drove over to the house and they get there like 4:50 p.m. on 11/13, they had this. Okay. And, well, according to Payne, he believes that Dylan's basically has the better timeline of the two. It has also like the better grasp of, he just believed that, hey, well, I think that that's interesting. I don't know if he's confused when he's saying that, but guess whose timeline that actually is in this statement by Mitch? Bethany's phone log, not Dylan's. But we have so many. Do you understand that this is what caused so many problems? So what it looks like is that Dylan never went down to sleep in Bethany's room. It looks like Dylan and Bethany never talked, never texted. And it looks like nobody woke up together in the same room. And, but we now know from the body camera, okay, that when Detective Blaker is going to brief everybody, he doesn't say any of this shit. In fact, Blaker supposedly never interviewed Dylan. That was Maury. Blaker interviewed Bethany. And so here, what's interesting is that when you want to talk about who has a better grasp of things, well, Dylan's over here saying that it was Kaylee, right, that was in that room. And it wasn't the bedroom, it was the bathroom, okay? But Dylan is over here thinking that it was Kaylee. And he believes that Dylan has a better story, but here, okay. Also, the phones, if they were to look at these two girls' phones, they're going to see right off the rip that it was Bethany that actually called Dylan, right? And alerting her to anything. And then really early on, because they got both of them to agree to let us download your phone, let us have your phone. Once you put that download on, you're going to see the phone activity just like the search warrant says, but with all the other phones. This is everything that they would have been looking for. So when you're using all those apps and your steps, your health data, all that, using apps, doing anything with your phone. When you go into the knowledge sea and you're able to look up, you're seeing, okay, wow, nobody just woke up, at 4:00 in the morning, 4:30. There's activity on these phones. So I don't know how Blaker is able to say that Dylan seems like she has more of, I think that's what Ann Taylor was going to ask him about these training records, and how are you saying that Dylan's statements are like more reliable or anything at that point that would be, hey, we need to listen to what this person's saying, not this person. Because it's interesting, in these documents, they're looking for fireworks, they're looking for explosives. Like this isn't a boilerplate. They were very specific to say we're looking for firearms, knives, other weapons. Then we want fireworks, other evidence of explosive materials. All these things that they said they were looking for and wanted to get, they don't even take everything. They don't even take any of this stuff. They take the blood. They take swabs, obviously. They take, but 90% of the stuff, they don't even do day one. And then when they do get it, they don't do anything with it. It's like, why even bother? But if Mitch goes back to write this, who looked at this and was like, "Yep, that's what you should put in there." Like, hey, that's not Kaylee. Hey, where are you getting that? That's Kaylee that was in that first bedroom floor. Like, I mean, and he's telling us, well, because of what Dylan says. I think that this is how Ann Taylor was going to go through Mitch Noonan's to talk about this and to point out that, okay, so here Blaker knows, and he read this, right? You gave this to him, right? You hear him saying that everybody's going to get a copy of this. Here's the search warrant. Well, what Blaker told everybody in the body cam that I just played for you guys, it's fucking opposite of any of this shit. I mean, what? He's saying that the one roommate's telling the other roommate to come down and sleep in her room. Did he read this? Also, they're looking for evidence of sexual activity. They're looking for evidence of documents, records, medications, drugs, or other substances, prescription or otherwise, bottles, labels, syringes, packaging, and other items associated with medications, drugs, or other substances, prescription or otherwise, that could relate to physical or mental states of assailants or victims. Were they thinking that these girls were like, what the fuck are they on? Like, how does nobody call? Like, you see a masked man, you don't call 911. I mean, what's going on? I mean, it's in black and white. Then, if you're truly looking for guns, knives, sheaths, all this shit, right? I can't even believe that they put sheath down in here. Right? Sheath is on here. If you're looking for any of this stuff, why aren't you asking the two surviving roommates, hey, does anybody in the house carry a gun? Do you guys have a gun? They don't even ask that. Did Noonan's write the warrant? Yes, Noonan's wrote the warrant. Exhibit A. This is the original Exhibit A. fireworks, other evidence of explosive materials. Firearms, knives, other weapons, holsters, magazines, sheaths. Let's see. um, they were interested in the fireworks or other evidence of explosive materials, and yet they staged on top of that area. They just started, expended bullets, fire casings, other portions or elements of ammunition, or other items associated with firearms, other weapons. Then hold on one second. I want to show you guys something else. Okay. All right, this is a rundown of every submission that went into the lab as far as submission number and what the date of it was. So submission 1, 11/16/2022. Turrentine, he brought the sheath, okay, and that just came by itself. On 11/18/2022, Small Ridge brought up the stuff from the autopsy, like the fingernails clippings, okay, blood card from all the victims. Now, on 11/21/2022, Dustin Blaker arrives there to pick up the vial, but if you go and you read his report that he turned in, he said when he went there, he also dropped stuff off. So he dropped things off on 11/21/2022, and he also got the nat vial. All right. And then 11/22, the very next day, Tim S., which is really interesting that it would be like this. Tim S., totally different than the way that it says Small Ridge like this. Now it's Tim S. And then see how it says Tim Smallridge? Every single way that Tim Smallridge can be in there is completely different, except when you're getting to 12/5/2022, 12/5/2022, 12/5/2022. And that's like the weird stuff that happens on 12/5 and adding all those names. Okay. But even like Smallridge here, he just puts in his last name and then he has Tim S. Like usually it'd be the opposite way. It'd be like T Smallridge. Tim S. The fuck? Right? Think about that. That doesn't make any sense. Now, because then look a little lower here. Oh, T Smallridge. Dustin Blaker. Okay. And it has those, let's see, the submission numbers. I want to show you one more time which is these turnaround dates. Now on 12/5, somebody went in like every like 2 minutes and like updated something within like a 2-minute period from like 3:07 to like 3:11 p.m. Okay. I know what Blaker took. Okay. 11/21. Item 252 and 253. 1, 2, 3. And somebody's swab. So on 11/21, 2022. Ready? At a Pullman apartment, they are tracking down somebody that they're following. And then they swoop up, pick up 2 cigarettes, and here, the same day that they enter this inn, and Dustin Blaker, I believe, takes those items. But we'll take a look here. Make sure that I'm not lying to you. It'd be submission 3. Okay. So here, again to show you, here's Dustin Blaker, 11/21, 2022. This is submissions. You're putting something in. Okay. So on 11/21, 2022, he goes up there with, like I just showed you guys, those 3 items. Cigarette butt, because there's 2 of them. And then I believe right there, this buccal swab. Well, when you go to look at the breakdown of the description of this is like the lab item number, but what submission did it come in? And you're reading and it says 1, 1, 1, 1, and then it goes all to the 2s, and then it goes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm like, wait, where is submission 3 and 4? So then I kept looking and I was like, what the fuck? And I have to go to page 5 of 14 to then get right here, submission 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. What? Right? See all those? Submission 3. So when you read Dustin Blaker's report, he doesn't list what items he took to them. Okay. And here his submission 3 is all the way. It doesn't get taken out and to be worked on or anything. Look at these, the Laytons. I don't think that anything happens with any of this. for, I can go look at the dates actually. Yeah, right there. That's going to be your 23 and 24. Those are blood from the walls here. It should be obvious why he didn't. Here, hold on one second. Okay. Exam key sequence. See, it says sequence 9. Assignment created for IgG. No report will be issued as no new testing was performed, which is a lie. When on 11/21, when Dustin Blaker got there, Catherine leaves Dustin Blaker's name completely out of this because it would have been a conversation with Dustin Blaker and Matthew Gamet. Dustin Blaker and Matthew Gamet should have been right there because you had to, it says item 2 opened and extract tube for item 1.1 removed, and then were 20 UL allocated into a new tube, repack original tube, new tube packaged in item 22. This is what she's breaking Blaker off. Like, here's what you're taking, right? But we can't talk about any of that. We can't put down that it's Blaker and then it's Matthew Gamet and they're getting in a car together and going and traveling to Houston with the IgG. But if you've created on 11/21, you created this submission. You created this submission, and then basically what you did is so he's bringing the cigarette butts, right? They just had obtained those, and you got these cigarette butts. So why aren't they, you'd be working on those to say, hey, we want to get the DNA of this person who we know who discarded it. I watched them discard it. Here it is. Here we go. Why aren't you immediately doing work on that? Why wouldn't you? Then on 12/5, again, Tim Smallridge he traveled from Moscow to Boise to bring items on 12/5, 6, 7, and 8 submissions. Well, what are those? Well, let's see. 6, 7, and 8. Six, 7, and 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. Here we are. These are all these reference samples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 reference samples. . Now, did he even have to drive to do that? I want to count something. I'm gonna play dumb. Okay. 12-5. Eight, 9, 10, 11. But that person wouldn't be because they're reference samples, so that does equal that. Ooh. 12, 13, 14. Or it's 13. Then subject. Okay. So prior to that, on 11/22, there was already 1, 2, 3 subjects in. So 13 minus 3 is 10, right? 10. What does it say here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's up, Tim? What's up, Tim? Okay, and now for the nuts. Okay. This is what the turnaround was for every item that was put in. On 11/18, additional evidence added to previous assignment. So on 11/18, turnaround was 2 days. It was done and handled with, that's your sheath. Then, see how it says BIO, that's biology. So KND is Catherine Dace. Don't know what her middle name is. It says this report here that started on 11/21/2022 to make an assignment, no longer required. Assignment created for IgG, no report will be issued as no new testing was performed. They created this IgG and then look at when it was closed, 3/13 for 112 days. Then this item that was put in on 11/28/2022, additional evidence added to previous assignment, and then it was closed. So Dollinger brought this in. This is a glove. 12/12/2022, date completed, date assigned, date completed, 14 days. Next one here on 12/23, no longer required per submitting/investigating agency. Per phone call with agency and prosecutor, analysis of this item is no longer needed. This one was submitted on 12/23. They made this decision on 1/6/2023. Then on 3/2/2023, something was a date, this was assigned. No longer required per prosecutor. Remaining items need permission to consume before they can move forward for whatever. That was 232 days. Next one. On 10/20/2023, something was submitted. 7/7/2025, 626 days, no longer required per prosecutor. Trial canceled. What the fuck had they not gotten a report back on? And that means we didn't get a report back on. there's more. Now I want us to go in order, and I want us to look at something. Okay. So on okay. So right here. On 11/21, and then see how this says it was closed on 11/21 as well. On November 21, admin closed something. Okay. Additional evidence added to previous assignment. So she'd have to explain, okay, you opened something and then you're saying that you're closing it because additional evidence was added to previous assignment on 11/21, and this was closed on 11/21. So I thought about this for a long time. And I said, wow, the same day, like where we can't find this in this other shit. Blaker's submissions on 11/21. Remember, Blaker comes there and submits something. And then why it skips and you don't see like the 3 and the 4 and the 5 flowing right after the 1s and the 2s. It like skips and goes to other shit. Well, here it is. Blaker's submissions got moved to somebody else, and it put it, I'm guessing, in the back burner though. That's the only thing that makes sense. But what would be open on 11/21 and then closed out because you reassigned it? You're going to have to explain that. Then we get to this 12/5, 12/5, 12/5, 12/5. Nowhere in any of this, you can go through every single date ever, and I'm about to show you. Is there multiple submissions? There is no multiple submissions. But on 12/5, the day that Brian Colbert's name appears, look at this. Additional evidence added to previous assignment, 12/5. Additional evidence added to previous assignment, 12/5. Additional evidence added to previous assignment, 12/5. Somebody was going to testify that they didn't know how to do this, and that's why this is all messed up. They didn't realize, they didn't know what they were doing. They can testify to whatever the fuck they want. It's a matter if you're going to believe it and drink the Kool-Aid and all that crap. Now, zero turnaround days for the 12/5. Like, handled right then and there, in and out. Now, right here, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All of this stuff is the lab item number. So item number 1, when it was taken in, okay, the date it was assigned, the date it was completed. So item number 1 came in on 11/16, completed on 11/18. Item number 2 came in on 11/16, completed on 11/19. So it's 2 days turnaround, 3 days, 1 day, 9, 1. And item 11 down here, I'm going to zoom in. Because I want to pay attention to these dates. All in order: 16, 18, 19, 22. Now look at this, 19. How is this not, if something came in, how is 11/22 here before number 7? Why is it not being, how is this out of order? Then 21, after 20, so 19, then 22, then 19 here. 21, 28, now 22. 11/19. 12/01, 12/7. I was like, wait a second. Where is anything to do with 12/5? All the submissions for on 12/5, all of the samples that are referred to as all of these. So you're looking at these dates. 12/13, 12/13, 12/28, 12/28, 12/23, out of order. 1/3, 12/28, 1/10. I'm like, there is nothing submitted on 12/5. Nothing. Look at that. July 7th, 2023. Nothing was done with this lab doing anything until March of the next year of 2024. Three, 6, 9, then 5, 2025, 6, 4, 2025. So I asked somebody, hey, what does this mean? What does this mean? Well, it looks like you're pushing stuff. Like you're pushing stuff, for example, here. You know how we would read a report and it's like, here, it'll be with the next one. If they want to say that they're waiting to get a result or something like that. It's not necessarily that they're waiting for a result, but they need other stuff. Because if we're going to be doing all of this, I want the report to have everything that we're comparing. That's what they're going to say. Okay, so for example, whatever came in on 10/20/2023, you're going to sit here and tell me that whatever this was, it sat and sat and sat and sat and sat and sat and sat. And that by the time, okay, well, there's no more trial. Okay, we don't need that. We don't need the item anymore. What was this item doing? What was it like? What was going on? Did Ann Taylor even know about this item that just kept like, what the fuck is this? Well, then we get them to go over to Walmart the next day. Here you go. This is the amazingness of Walmart. One minute and 38 seconds, of which half of it and whatever they were talking about beforehand doesn't record any of it. This is literally the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning to go over there and ask whatever it is you're doing. You're at the Walmart. And then
okay. So he asked for a black ski mask that would cover his face.
he asked.
What do you look like? I know.
College dude.
Okay, but just like college age, about.
Part of me wants to say maybe he was wearing a beanie, but I really don't remember.
Okay.
It was.
Is he tall? Was he taller? Was he taller than you? Shorter?
Probably.
Okay.
A little bit taller.
Color hair, don't.
I would say like brown, because I feel like his eyebrows are probably brown too.
His eyebrows.
Was he white, black, Mexican?
I would say white, maybe a little tanner, but I don't think he was Mexican.
Okay. And you just told him that you didn't. You guys didn't.
You're right here, and I looked on my phone that doesn't have
Okay.
speaking with him.
Okay.
What? Okay. Hey, Walmart has like 900 cameras. Can we just get a camera? What you said somebody came. So this person, I mean, this is the next day, you guys. This is not somebody calling in and saying, "Hey, I think I have a tip. Can you please come to this Walmart so I can provide something?" No. Clearly stuff happened before this. And this is the only part that was recorded. Because I would hope to God I mean, you're standing right next to these knives. I don't know. Hey, how can we get to see, like, do you guys sell, the whole reason that we're here is to see if you guys sell, because I have the report. It was to ask if they sell, um, the sheath with the knife. Do you guys even sell K-bars? No, we don't. Then how the fuck did it even get to this then? We have no idea because this is all that was recorded. I mean, what? I said, you gotta be kidding me.
Everything we had would just be right here.
Okay. So he asked for a black ski mask that would cover his face. Remember what he looked like?
Honestly, like,
I know.
College dude.
Okay. But just like college age about.
Part of me wants to say maybe he was wearing a beanie, but I really don't remember.
Okay.
It was.
Was he tall? Was he taller? Was he taller than you? Shorter? Okay.
A little bit taller.
Color hair, don't.
I would say like brown, because I feel like his eyebrows are probably brown too.
Is he white, black, Mexican?
I would say white, maybe a little tanner, but I don't think he was Mexican.
Okay. And you just told him that you guys didn't have one?
If we had any, they'd be right here. And I looked on my phone, but
Okay.
speaking with him.
Okay.
Let me read this again for you guys. All right. So there's no way that Dylan could have seen that it was Xana, because if you actually go with Mitch Noonan's report, by the way, he says that the female laying supine on the floor next to the bed, according to Dylan Mortensen, this female was likely Kaylee, you know, that if you go and you read not that one right here. her feet were facing, or like were more towards the like her head was more towards the west wall, and so in the way that she was laying was like more of like a diagonal. So I don't know how she would ever be able to see. So on the following day at 11:14, this report. I learned that a sheath was found inside the apartment. The sheath was tan in color and had a marine corpse, eagle, globe, and anchor EGA symbol on the sheath. The words USMC were located under the EGA, and K-bar was above the EGA. I was tasked to follow up with businesses in town to see if that particular knife was sold there. I followed up with Tri-State Outfitters, Big Five Sporting Goods, Moscow Building Supply, Spence Hardware, and Walmart. Each of the above stores does not sell a K-bar brand knife. While at Walmart, I was speaking with a staff member. Her name blank, name tag on the name listed on her name tag, who was showing me the knives on display. She told me about 2 to 3 weeks ago, a white college-aged male asked for a black ski mask that would cover his face. This girl was unable to provide much detail other than he was taller than she was and maybe had tan skin complexion. This girl said she advised the male They did not have any black ski masks, only camo. This girl said that the male then walked away. Okay. Nothing further. Like, I mean, what? You wouldn't go ask the Walmart manager, supervisor, hey, we're going to need to, can we get your surveillance camera for like, well, what, first of all, you'd ask for this person's, what days do you normally work? Let's go back 3 weeks. And whatever days and shifts that this broad was working, we need the camera footage from when she was working. So we can see who came in here and asked for that. I mean, this girl, it stuck out to this girl. Oh, hey, yeah, somebody was asking for a camo mask or a black mask, but I told them that we only had camo. You wouldn't do any type of like, hey, like, okay, sounds good. See you later. Adios. And then I said, well, where's all these other visits between 9 and 11:45? And if they were anything like this, wouldn't she be sending, I don't know, the detectives to do this shit? Like, these patrol guys can't cut it. They don't know what they're doing. Also, remember, Gunderson's at 11:14. Let's just go back out and do some neighborhood canvassing and not have my body cam on and not take any notes and just ask the most bizarre questions. He checked all 3 dumpsters on 11:14, by the way. But some blood was located on the second floor at the 700 block of Taylor Avenue, which is known as the Whites and is a known party location. You know where everybody went after leaving the scene? They went over to the Whites. And people got each other's like, here, we're going to give people some hoodies, sweatshirts, pants, all that stuff. Well, Hunter was so kind enough to give, according to Bella, she's like, hey, you know that Hunter gave Dylan his shoes. So kudos to Bella. She's like, you know that Hunter gave Dylan a pair of shoes, the shoes that he was wearing. I said, what? Roll back film. Old girl here. It's right. If you go and look at Dylan's interview, she's wearing the shoes that Hunter had on. So in this report, it says, the blood was isolated to one area with no trail to either area. I photographed the blood and notified on-scene investigators. Nowhere ever can you find them doing any type of testing or anything with this blood. Officer House and I walked various areas around the crime scene looking for evidence. Officer House and I found nothing of evidentiary value. Well, thanks, Gunderson, but I'll go with House and see what he says. Oh wait, maybe he didn't write up a report. Now, I'm going to use your guys' help here. We're going to play a little game. All right. I need this one instead. Okay. I'm going to give you guys initials. You guys are going to put the initials of the person that comes to mind. Okay? GP. 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 Anybody? Okay, what about RH? RH, last name H, R, first name. Okay, what about all right. What about a guy named SB? SB. You hear that name in this case? SB. Silent but deadly. SB. Let's see. Sandra Baracus. She's not a guy, right? Sadie Buck. SB. Anybody? I was asked to conduct a follow-up on SB. A follow-up means that they've already been interviewed. SB. I was told that SB was contacted on 11/17/2022 by MPD and ISP officers. I was asked to watch video from noon on 11/12/2022 to 1 o'clock on 11/13. So I think that he has this mistaken, but whatever. To see SB movement during the homicide. On 11/12/2022, SB left his dorm room at 12:05. He was wearing a black long sleeve shirt and black sweats. At 12:53 hours, SB returned. At 15:03 hours, SB left again wearing a black beanie, black gloves, and a white jacket. SB? Anybody? Who the fuck is SB? And if they were talked to originally, where is the report of SB ever being talked to originally? Is SB potentially the person that would have given anybody a ride that night? SB. Who are the three people on the Banfield body cam? SB. So nobody has a fucking clue. God damn it. 870 people in here, and nobody can come up with SB. This is a boy. I'm just now. This person left with a backpack at 1952 hours. SB was gone until 11:13 at 12:25 hours when he returned to the dorms. I reported the information to ISP. Why are you reporting the information to ISP when you are Mossville Police Department right here, Aaron Morris? You're the man. It's your investigation. You guys are investigating. Why is Idaho State Police asking SB to be followed? The fuck? Is it Syed? But I don't have his last name with a B. I have his last name with an A. Ali. Awesome. Now, okay, ready? Detective Urig arrived at the Bosco Police Department and received the following evidence item numbers: Apple laptop, Apple laptop, Apple laptop, Apple laptop, Dell, and an Apple iPad. Okay? Okay. This is a daily double question. What bedroom or room was Bethany's iPad found in? Okay, because ready for this? I have an issue. So the only people that had an iPad in that house was Bethany. Because the way that this would present itself to me is to sit here and tell me that we have 4 Apple laptops, 2 Dell laptops, and an Apple iPad. That's it. But according to an interview that was done between Joe Lake and Dylan, and another report, there was a computer in the spare room. It was a laptop, but then behind the door, there was like another monitor. So anybody? Was Bethany's iPad found in the spare bedroom? Okay. Okay. Ready for this next question? Somebody called in, remember, and said that they have a video that should be that they think would be of interest to the officers. It was between 2:07 and 2:10 p.m. What are the odds that they're going to give me that in my FOIA request? I want the name of the caller between 2:07 p.m. and 2:10 who said that they have a camera. What do you guys think? What do you think the odds are that I'm going to get that? What do you think? Any chance there? And how can you not? All right, so I bet we'll get it. Next. All right. All right, so what are the odds that you believe me on this feeling? What are the odds that Cruz is the person who they went and took the cigarette butts from? His apartment's in Pullman, right? And that they preserved the area for his AT&T shit, right? And doing so, if he's the first name, right, they have to take that out of the system, make it seem like that they didn't do anything with it, because it leads down the whole Pullman path and leads to the AT&T shit. What are the odds? That stuff started, like they were trying so hard to cover this AT&T timing advance problem that they went and fucked with the cigarette butts and all of that stuff and reassigned it and moved it. What do you guys think? I personally think it's really, really, really genius thinking on my part, and if that's the case, Idaho State Police were the people that actually went and like. So check this out. Idaho State Police, they were doing the stakeout, and I think Blaker was with them. And then Blaker, is taking items, and he doesn't write in his report what items he took when he goes there. Everybody else has been writing like what items you're transporting. So let me. All right, so if we go with 11 on 11/22, which would have been the day after getting your cigarette butts, doing all that bullshit, then you're also transporting the sheath vial to Othram, right? On November 21st, 2022, at approximately 11:57 a.m., I was asked by Captain Tyson Barrett to follow up on a possible lead. In order to get a possible lead in the 1122 King Road homicide case, somebody would have had to speak, right? I was told a Mexican drug dealer with the moniker, someone with a C, right, was possibly selling drugs to several fraternities and sororities. So basically, you're either going to have somebody in the fraternities or sororities fucking spit it out, right? Because who else is going to have that type of intel to know that the sororities and fraternities, that it's actually legit, or it's somebody that's doing controlled buys with the fraternities and the sororities, right? So someone that's doing controlled buys with the fraternities and sororities. God, that just sounds so up certain alleys that I think about. That would be like a task force put together. That would be like your local FBI people. That's your like Ed Jacobsons of the world. It's not that they're selling drugs to just campus or in that area. It's specifically selling drugs to several fraternities and sororities on the University of Idaho campus. So he's like, hey, Captain Bear was like, hey, I want you to contact several of your contacts to see if anyone knew of this person. Well, Bethany and Dylan are talking. We don't touch that stuff. Nobody does it. The only person that was honest at this point that I've listened in on an interview was Kayla. Okay, since Maury's a little liar, let's get him in something else. Who is a P last name with 3 letters? Anybody? P last name, 3 letters. Really bizarre last name. Anybody P? Anybody P? All right. Next question I have for you guys. Why was Detective Blaker so obsessed with getting the router password, the Wi-Fi password? If you're just going to go get a search warrant, you know, why do you want the Wi-Fi password? He wanted the password so bad. So think in your heads, what? What? What do you need it for? What's it? What are you going to be able to do? I mean, literally, that's the only thing he was interested. I felt like, and it's like, can I get the router pass? Can I get the? I'm sorry, the Wi-Fi password. What's the Wi-Fi password? Okay, I'm just reminding people of these dates. On 11/30/2022, 11/30, I assisted the FBI with removing the center stacks from Ethan Chapin's Ford Explorer and Madison Mogan's Chevy Cruze, the white vehicle. The white vehicle, right? Once the center stacks were removed, I booked them into the Moscow Police Department as evidence. I photographed the serial numbers and attached them to the case. What type of testing was done on those? Um, 11:30 that was. It's the infotainment center download. Okay, but when did they get that information back? Now, according to, if we want to believe these reports, Justin Dean, on November 29th, 2022, I was asked to pick up 3 cell phones and a hard drive from Detective Chris Ruckert of the Walla Walla Police Department. I met with him at approximately 11:55 and took possession of the 4 items, 3 cell phones and a hard drive. I drove back to the Moscow Police Department where I handed the items to Detective Lawrence Mowry at approximately 14:30 hours. Now, the day before Brett Payne on 12/4/2022, which would be the day before Brian Culver's name appears, it could be there earlier, but right now all we have to go off of is the evidence that it's there on 12/5/2022. So a day before that, on 12/4/2022, Brett Payne decides he's going to finally write his report that has to do with him being at the scene and arriving there on 11/13. Okay. He's finally going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I should write this report. According to Brett Payne, at approximately 1600 hours on 11/13/2022, Sergeant Blaker and I responded to 1122 King Road to assist with scene security processing. 1600 hours, huh, Brett? Well, that'd be 4 o'clock. And, well, I showed you guys that it was an hour after that. Upon our arrival, the ISP forensic team was on scene and was preparing to begin processing the scene. Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers to the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. Officer Smith and I entered 1122 King Road through the bottom floor door on the north side of the building. Why wouldn't Officer Payne mention the fact that he walked through with Talbot? What do you guys think? Hey, can I get one of those? What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about the fact that he just stands there while Talbot is putting on his booties? I just can't get over that. Okay, like why? He mentions Officer Smith, but does not want to talk about the fact that he went through with or ISP Talbot, right? Very bizarre. And that he went through with Ashley Jennings. Prosecutor Ashley Jennings left out of the report, right? So he says, Officer Smith taking me through. Let's see. Then he says, well, after we didn't put our booties on, he said, I observed a small bedroom on the north side of the building, or I'm sorry, a small bedroom with on the west side of the bottom floor. The door was ajar and I could see a bed with covers as well as other miscellaneous personal items strewn about. The room did not appear to have been occupied by anyone, as I did not see any clothes inside. I followed Officer Smith down the hall where there was a small bathroom. Next to the small bathroom to the east-west was the, later learned, was a utility closet. This closet had a pin code style lock and was secured. I looked into the bedroom on the east end of the bottom floor, which I later learned belonged to Bethany Funk. Why did you later learn that? Oh, is it because Bethany told you that she was in the right side? That's probably why. The room had normal clothes. You ready for this, guys? The room had normal clothes and personal items about, but otherwise did not seem out of the ordinary. Who the fuck writes, the room had normal clothes? Well, ready for this? What type of clothing was in the room to the right? I think that's super weird. Well, yeah. But otherwise did not seem out of the ordinary.
Yeah, so that means that the first sentence would be out of the ordinary, which it isn't.
I think it is. I think it's all weird. But let me tell you, when we talked about that fetish that Bethany had, well, you guys do know that Dylan was asked about OnlyFans, right? Do you guys know that? Okay. The room had normal clothes. What's normal? What? And personal items. Officer Smith and I then walked upstairs. Just made it seem like it's him and I. Officer Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. You guys remember this shit? Officer Smith and I, like it was just those two. La da da da. That's not true. Officer Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. The stairs ended in a small living room. There was a sectional style couch along the east and south wall of the room. There was also a small TV in a void on the northeast corner of the room. I also saw a black backpack on the floor just east of the top of the stairs. Officer Smith then directed me down the hall to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned was Xana's. How did you not know that already? You were interviewing people. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door of the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body later identified as Xana's laying on the floor. Xana was laying on her back with her feet facing the east, and her head was facing west. So that's opposite how Dylan says. Go back and listen to what Dylan talks about. We'll get all of that straightened out. Xana had thong-type underwear on and a gray sweatshirt. There was a large amount of blood on the floor around Xana as well. I could see numerous wounds on Xana's arms, hands, and face, which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Just next to Xana on the west wall was a small white nightstand, which appeared to have been moved as it was pushed against the wall at an odd angle. There was blood on this nightstand in various locations. Officer Smith then took me through the house and pointed out Dylan Morrison's bedroom, which was situated on the southeast side of the second floor. Morrison's bedroom door opened to the kitchen area as well as the staircase, which led to the third floor of the house. No mention that Dylan's door was wide open, lights are all on. Can't talk about any of that, can we? Upon my brief visual inspection, Mortensen's room was disheveled but did not appear to have any blood or evidence of a struggle within. Again, why is he saying this? He didn't note any of that with Bethany's room. Is it because he says that he didn't notice any blood because then down the road there is blood? I didn't notice anything in my quick, didn't see anything. This is your walkthrough with Officer just Smith, right? Her room was disheveled, but did not appear to have any blood or evidence of a struggle within. I then followed Officer Smith upstairs to the third floor of the residence. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms. You know, we get it, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Just reminding you guys how No talks about that he walked through with Ashley fucking Jennings, the prosecutor. No talks about that he walked through with Jeffrey Talbot. Okay? All right, so check this out. Why on March 15th, 2023, that's the video that I put out of the path of travel. Okay. Well, on 11/24/2022 at 5 o'clock, he took the MPD school car, a silver Ford Fusion, and drove the route of the suspect vehicle. I'm like, this is what I wanted. So I think you gave me the wrong request, but I do appreciate it. But the one that I am seeking is the MPD school car, which is the silver Ford Fusion. And when Payne went driving the route of the suspect vehicle, because he drove this route on 11/24/2022, which was before any report I mean, 11/24/2022. According to their reports, they didn't even start glancing at anything until 11/18 with any videos. He said, I drove 2 separate routes in front of the camera located at 1125 Ridge Road, once westbound on Lauder Avenue and then twice on Ridge Road, southbound and northbound. I advised the command post of the times of these runs and requested the video from the point of contact at 1125 Ridge Road in order to compare the color of the test vehicle to that of the suspect vehicle. This is exactly what I wanted, right? Once I completed these runs, I drove to 1122 King Road and walked the route that Molly McMichael stated she took while on foot near the house on 11/13/2022. I also parked the MPD school car on Queen Road immediately to the east of 1122 King Road in order to observe the effects of the orange tinted streetlights located in the area. The lights appeared to make the silver vehicle look tanner in color than it would under white streetlights. So Molly's saying she saw a tanner sedan, right? I also walked down and spoke to Officer Tisdall, who was providing scene security at this time. He's doing this on Thanksgiving, by the way, guys. I spoke to Officer Tisdall for a moment and then began to walk back to my patrol vehicle. As I did so, I noticed the black glove laying in the parking lot approximately 25 feet from the front door. The fuck you did. The glove was lying palm up and appeared to have been laying in that spot for a couple of days, as it did not have any snow on it. I nudged the glove with the toe of my boot and found it was frozen to the ground. I asked Officer Tisdall for rubber gloves and his flashlight. Upon further examination, there appeared to be a dark, fluid-like substance on the glove. This substance's color and consistency was consistent with dried blood. Officer Tisdall provided me with an evidence bag, and I collected the glove. Guess what you didn't do, though, Officer Payne? You didn't fill it out appropriately at all, because it would be noted by Riley Nolan. Like, what the fuck is this glove? The glove is a Polar Penguin brand glove with a rubber side, blah, 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 blah. This type of glove is often used for concrete work. We don't care about your opinions. I brought the glove back to MPD and booked it into MPD evidence for submission to the state lab. The videos of the vehicle test runs were later collected and added to the FBI video files for this case. He wants to get rid of it out of his possession. Why would it be in the FBI files? Why wouldn't one copy be a working copy for them? One copy can go to the FBI for them to look at it, sure. But what the fuck? You would never just, oh yeah, here you go. Like, you're the lead investigator. You just going to give away what you have? Like, you would make a working copy. That's all. Wow. So you didn't test anything that good old Molly told you. And why are you writing this up before you even write up the Molly report? Well, I found out why. Because you guys had lots more interviews with Molly, didn't you? Good golly, Miss Molly. Let's see. Dustin Blaker. Blaker. Here we go. Okay. Now, based on Hippler's new order, I believe that report 57 for Lawrence Mowry on 12/5/2022. You guys can't make this shit up. This report was written on 12/5/2022. And he's saying on November 18th, I applied and was granted a geofence warrant for any data associated with these anonymized information located within the following longitude and latitude points, and there's 4 of them. Special Agent Nick Balance. Did they hold this report back when they gave it to Ann Taylor? Because Special Agent Nick Balance with the Federal Bureau of Investigation assisted in the production and service of the warrant. Special Agent Nick Balance. His name is right here in a fucking report. On November 18th, 2022, at approximately 11:30, the warrant was served back for us, email. On November 20th, 2022. So literally the same day that they're working on the sheath. And they get back the information. Like, it's the same day that the geofence warrant information comes back. On November 20th, Special Agent Balance received notice that the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available. The data files were downloaded to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. Ready? I'm going to repeat that one more time. The data files were downloaded to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab. Interesting. Based on the information received and in correlation with cell tower records previously reviewed, 2 of the identifiers were found to be of interest. One is Molly. Who the fuck is the other? Well, I think Judge Hippler has allowed us to now know who this is. Whoever number 2 is. On November 20th, I applied and was granted a warrant for any data associated with the previous identifiers, including subscriber information. Special Agent Nick Balance with the Federal Bureau of Investigation assisted in the production and service of the warrant. So Molly McMichaels is one, right? Remember we said Molly wasn't alone would be number 2, right? On November 20th at approximately 10:40, the warrant was served back email. I mean, we got it like just like that. On November 20th, Special Agent Balance received notice that the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available. The data files were downloaded in the forensic computers located in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. It was found one of the identifiers came back to the phone number of blank. Why aren't they saying what the other one was? They got information on both of them. I completed the warrant return, receipt, and affidavit. These documents were sent to Lathal County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. When do you think Ann Taylor got this report? Special Agent Balance's name is all over it. If, let's just hypothetically say that it was Justin or her boyfriend. Just anybody, right? That's a friend of Molly's. Okay? What do you think? What do you think about it? Do you think that they said, hey, Molly, you told us that, I mean, were you door dashing with anybody? Well, the next day, again, this is all being wrote up on 12/5. When somebody is literally uploading a bunch of names. So as Maury's writing this up on 12/5/2022, making his, reports of what he did on 11/20 and 11/18, he's like, okay, I can write up this report now. So on November 21st, 2022, he writes this. It's a back-to-backer. So as I was putting all these together, as I was reading these back in the day, now there's things that make certain days stick out. 12/5 is a really important day, right? Of course. Well, Lawrence Mowry is writing in everything that he's sitting at a computer and writing up his reports that have everything to do with Molly, Trap Channel Chase. So Okay. Remember how Justin Dean said that there was only 3 cell phones to be picked up, and there was like 1 hard drive from Detective Ruckert from the Walla Walla. So it was a female, by the way. On November 25th, 2022, Detective Mowry saying, I went to the Walla Walla Police Department and spoke with Detective Chris Ruckert. It's a female. Detective Ruckert stated her forensic tools would be able to support full file system extractions on the unlocked devices and would be able to complete limited extraction on Kaylee's locked phone. I left the phones with Detective Ruckert to be extracted. That would mean that you're saying that did you leave all of them? You know, and he did. And so that would be 4 phones. On November 28th, 2022, Detective Ruckert informed me that the phone extractions were complete and ready to be picked up. On November 29th, Detective Justin Dean picked up the phones and returned them to the Moscow Police Department. I received the 4 devices and placed them in the secure computer forensic lab. According to Justin Dean, he only had 3 phones and a hard drive. You guys remember? Detective Mowry's over here writing up a report that says that on November 29th, I received the 4 devices and placed them in the secure computer forensic lab. The extracted data was copied to the forensic computers and verified by hash values. What the fuck? An examination of the data will be completed at my earliest convenience. Just pointing it out to you guys that according to Justin Dean, he only had 3 phones and a hard drive. This is insane. This is so fucking nuts. Okay. On 12/6, a day later, Mowry wants to write a report about on November 22nd. The same day, November 22nd, the same day that they're traveling with this to do everything with the sheets with IGG. Okay. On November 22nd, I applied for and was granted a pen warrant for any data associated with the phone number blank, which was linked to a possible witness, Molly McMichaels. Special Agent Nick Balance with the Federal Bureau of Investigations assisted in the production and service of the warrant. On November 22nd, 2022, at approximately 8:26, the warrant was served via fax and email. On November 22nd, Special Agent Balance received notice that the data requested pursuant to the warrant was available. So quick. The data files were downloaded to the forensic computers located in the secure forensic lab at the Moscow Police Department. The pen registered trap and trace data were terminated on November 30th, 2022. Now, the same day or right there, like on 11/20, Bill Thompson's like, listen, if we don't get a CODIS hit, we're going to IGG. Bill Thompson, who's friends with Molly. Okay. We're doing IGG. Dude, there was a conversation had that the way that we got to Brian Cover, under no circumstances can this ever come out, which would be what? If Brian Cover was doing controlled buys and sells for Moscow police force or for this a special task force that was going on, and then here the dude that was involved with helping us is committed these fucking crimes, and we're going to let that out. We're going to let that out. Which always made sense to me. That's the only thing that ever made sense to me as to why you would, why is Mowry, Vargas, all these people showing up to look into Brian Cover's office that day? listening to these dudes talk about they're in the Facebook groups, they're doing all this shit. Well, so Molly, that means when you interviewed with Payne and the FBI lady, and it was not your first go around, right? They clearly didn't believe you. But the results of Molly's pen, trap, and trace would be available. And so it would come out if like Molly, was in communication or something with Brian. So I don't think it's that as far as like the phones. But why in the world would you fucking put a trap, pen, and trace on somebody that you were saying is just a witness who is just a door dasher? Clearly the cops didn't believe her, right? Or it's like we believe her, but why are you pen, trap, and tracing the DoorDash driver? Because we need to see where this DoorDash driver goes and who she's meeting up with and who she's talking to. And then what we're going to talk to those people and say, hey, you're going to give us the information that we want. I mean, what's going on here? But basically, everything to do with the simultaneous work of the IGG is literally on the same path of travel as Molly McMichael's. It's you can't deny the path. I mean, it seemed like you guys were cooking. Like if we have a car, we have a snitch, right? And then Bill Thompson's over here like, yeah, if we don't get a hit on CODIS, IGG, and we have to do it right away, and we're going to hound Othram like, where's our results? What the fuck? Why don't you have anything? Meanwhile, Othram was like, what? Now, on November 22nd, how come you report Lawrence Mowry if you kept it from November 22nd until November 30th? What does it show? There is no report with that what it shows. So, it doesn't say here. Molly was subsequently identified, located, and interviewed as a witness by Corporal Brett Payne, making it seem like Brett Payne was the only motherfucker that interviewed her. Molly tells us that that's not true. Also, the evidence that was entered in this case tells us it's not true because they fucked up. Atlanta found it. 100 million %. There's an audio recording of Molly McMichael for interview number 2. And I got the item number. So they can lie. And this is not even counting how many times the broad was called. I mean, we hear Molly. They were blowing her up. They were calling her. Molly got a new cell phone. How is no one talking about that? Oh my God. The person that you put a pen, trap, and trace on just got a new cell phone and got 4 new tires. Damn. Like, what? And she was there at the time of the murders and she's not wholly suspect. Like, oh my God. And people are telling you that sororities and fraternities are buying drugs off of people. We heard what the Pullman police do. Okay. They use people. Hey, I cut him loose in the DUI because he's working on something for me. Yeah, like he's in my Facebook group and buying and selling shit to my Facebook girl. Like the guys that are police officers have fake accounts that are girls in these groups and like hitting people up on social media. Nothing came. Nothing came about Molly's pen trap and trace, huh? It was just boring. Just dashing away. Okay. Last thing I'll say, and then I'm ending this, is also, what are the odds that so the Uber driver stopped Ubering that night, Eric Grower, right? He was like, I'm done for the night. And then he actually admits in his interview that Kaylee nor Maddie actually paid for the trip. Remember that talk about, oh my God, I'd be so pissed if my husband is out working, but literally is just giving people free rides, so he's really not working. I'd be one pissed motherfucker. And I'm at home, we have a baby, and he's just giving free rides to sorority chicks. That's really classy. So, yeah, no. On 11/23/2022, I, Brett Payne, was granted a search warrant for Jack Showalter's apartment. The warrant was based off of the following information. Officer House and I responded to Blank Queen Road at approximately 10 on 11/15/2022. We walked on the common walkway in front of the door to Showalter's apartment and observed the exterior of the door. The area around the door had numerous spots of a dried fluid, which appeared to be rust drops from a metal roof above the apartment door. These drops were mainly on the wall next to the door frame. Blah, 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 right? Now, Officer House and several members of Idaho State Police Forensics Unit, to include Detective Hugh Powell, walked back to Queen Road. ISP going back by themselves and no body cams. I met back up with Officer House, who has a body cam and hopefully was wearing it, and Detective Powell a short time later, and they told me they believed the spot of dried fluid on the door displayed similar characteristics to that of dried blood. Namely, Detective Powell stated that the spot displayed a cracking texture common when blood dries on a surface. The spot also displayed a similar drop pattern to the blood spots found on the banister wall and the wall on the stairwell to the ground floor, which I observed, meaning Payne himself observed, inside 1122 King Road. But yet you're not testing it. So you know about it. That's, out of all the stains possible, that stuck out to you. And that would actually come back as being somebody else's blood. That means that he would fucking know that, you guys. He would know that. He would know that it's unknown. What are the odds? There are all these stains to pick from in that house, all of it. And he happens to mention the stairwell on the banister wall and the wall on the stairwell to the ground floor. Are you kidding me? All those spots in there. And those would be what comes back as unknown, like male blood mixed with Kaylee. Officer House also told me he looked at several other doorknobs and deadbolt plates on doors in the similar apartment, and they were all just like dusty. Well, I returned back to MPD and was notified by Detective Vargas, who was reviewing security camera footage provided by the owners of Linda Lane. of possible footage of someone walking by the cameras at 3:50. I watched the film with Detective Vargas. The camera showed the parking lot of Linda Lane, which is situated directly south of Queen Road. The frame captures a portion of the apartments themselves. The area of Queen Road is also much darker. The figure walks to the west out of the parking lot, the other two apartment buildings at blank Queen Road. So at 3:50, this person who's walking at 3:50, Molly McMichael would be there. Molly McMichaels. This person who was not Jack Showalter now. Okay. Whoever this person is, or is it Jack Showalter? Whoever this person is literally collides with Molly. Think about how I'm putting all this in a great old big timeline for you guys. So at 3:50, this figure walking out, they're using it as in a search warrant to make it seem like it's Jack Showalter walking. And it's 3:50. Well, it's somebody walking at 3:50, and they're walking straight towards where? Where actually Molly's go. Where Molly is. Okay. This person's maybe they're meeting up with Molly. Well, there's no mention in this that, oh, hey, Molly was also roaming around. So based off of the information above, oh, by the way, the figure is not captured by the camera any further. So, like, they're trying to say that camera doesn't catch anybody, but we all know that's a lie. Because if they would actually continue watching, somebody does run back. Based off of the information above, MPD and ISP officers served a search warrant on the exterior of the front door. Now, on 11/23/2022, MPD Officer Morris was contacted by JS, a maintenance worker for whatever, Palouse Properties. What are the odds that on 11/23, the same day that this is going down, that out of the blue, randomly, the maintenance worker calls Officer Morris? Officer fucking Morris. You know, the guy that turned on his body cam here for 1 minute and 34 seconds? Yeah. And JS, the maintenance worker, told Officer Morris he conducted a routine maintenance order on Queen Road on 11/22, wherein he discovered something of note. I had Officer Morris call JS back. It's not Jack Showalter. And place him on a speakerphone so I could talk to him. I asked this dude to tell me what he found. This dude told me he and another maintenance worker entered the apartment on 11/22 in 2022 in order to check on the water quality complaint made by the tenant. What? Where is this water complaint? Jack Showalter, if you were out there, do you see how they were ready to pin you for this murder? They wanted to get anybody, and they were going to do anything. Both men checked the kitchen and did not notice any issues. He then entered the only bathroom in the residence and appeared to be blood on the shower curtain. He's like, in quotes, there appeared to be spatter. He told me they appeared to be reddish, brownish, similar. He asked the only thing he did in the restroom was flush the toilet in order to check the water quality. JS stated that the toilet appeared clean but became clogged when he flushed it. S noted it was odd. The toilet became clogged. JS said he and his counterpart then left the apartment. So you left a clogged bathroom? I asked JS if anyone else had reason or means to access the apartment besides he or this person, Showalter, between the time he left and the current time. He said no. I served the search warrant with ISP investigator Jeff Talbot, Hugh Powell, and Jake Schwecky. Just a fucking dime. Just the dime crew. We discovered the blood smears and spots, and yeah, I know what spatter looks like. Wow. Okay. Is that right? Now, Officer Payne must have totally forgot that he ever wrote up that report, because then Officer Payne, this was on 12/13 at 12:54, at 13:06 on 12/13, Officer Payne wrote up the same fucking report, except he switches it up a little bit. It was it's basically, I don't even know what the hell he did. Back to back reports 74 and 73 are absolutely wild. Danny Vargas. What else here? Okay, so why would Chief Fry ever take an interview? On 12/15, Chief James Fry writes up a report because he does an interview with this guy named SP. On 12/13/2022 at approximately 8 o'clock, I interviewed SP in blank, Idaho at the blank, blank, blank. SP had called me several days earlier to report some information he had regarding the quadruple homicide. Of note, the only thing I want to mention is that this person said SP told me he was over at D's, whatever D name this is, the next morning picking up some tarps from a job he had been doing with, and G showed up. P told me he asked G what he does after he leaves when his mom is yelling at him. G told me he goes over to the college. P told me G believes the college is to blame for how his mom is. P explained that L went to parties at the college and began drinking. P told me he does not know for sure, but believes that L may have been raped at one of the college parties. What? P told me that he asked G about the conversation that took place at the Mad Greek restaurant. P said that G told him that he followed the girls to the Mad Greek from the college. G told P that the two girls were lesbians. What the fuck? This is Tina with What the Fuck Transition Services. G told P he went back to the girl's house, and when they came home, he was inside the house and made the statement, "They had no idea that I was there. I could have killed them all if I had wanted to." P told me G then went and got a larger knife from out back shed and showed him. P told me every time he was around G and G's mom would explode on him. He always stayed very calm and would not react to her. You guys, I cannot wait for that interview. I'm waiting so patiently to hear. This better have been recorded, Chief Fry. What the fuck? On December 7th, so right after they entered Brian Colbert's name into the Idaho State Police, database, on December 7th, Danny Vargas says that she assisted with packing up and moving personal belongings from 1122 King Road to the MPD secured storage garage. Nothing to see here. Oh, by the way, I am into 81 reports, and Dustin Blaker hasn't wrote one yet. Dustin Blaker. Okay, last quiz. Who is the name CK? First name C, last name K. C K. Anybody? CK? On December 14th, 2022, Detective Mowry writes on 12/20. He wrote this report on 12/20, the day after knowing about Brian Kober, supposedly for the first time. On December 14th, 2022, I was requested to complete a forensic extraction on an iPhone provided by CK. K signed a consent to search form for the device, and it was provided to me by FBI Special Agent Travis Shirley. Why do I have a feeling that CK, all right, it's not Kara, by the way, definitely not Kara. Why do I have a weird feeling that the C name, that this person is the second trap penetrates? Like, why do I have that feeling? The phone was powered on, and I placed it into airplane mode to protect any potential evidence on the phone from being removed or remotely deleted. I took photos of the device and attached them to the case file. The phone required a passcode to access the data on the device. CK provided a passcode of anybody? CK? In continuing with my examination of the phone, I made the following changes to the phone settings. Auto lock was turned off. These changes allowed the phone on the forensic computer to communicate and share information, blah, 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 blah. The phone was returned to CK. Is Quinn, so I was CK. Well, the next person is I was requested to complete a forensic extraction on Samsung's cell phone provided by LB. LB signed a consent to search form for the device. LB. Again, Lawrence Mowry gets this in on 12/20, day after learning about Brian Kober. Okay. (12/22) on December 22nd, 2022. Lawrence Mowry says, I was tasked with reinstalling the exterior camera, known as the light bulb camera, at 1112 King Road to capture some comparison video and audio. I contacted one of the tenants, who gave me permission to access her residence and conduct the recording. Upon arrival, I unplugged the power to the current router and removed the camera from the light bulb socket on the exterior of the residence. I then powered on the router. Again, this is the day 12/22/2022. Because they're going to be doing, they wanted to capture some comparison video and audio. Is that right? While installing the camera, I hear a crack. I felt the light bulb base mount become loose. It should be noted the approximate temperature outside while installing the camera was between 5 and 9 degrees. Dude, what the fuck? I previously had installed a new SD card into the camera and powered on the router and camera at the Moscow Police Department to ensure the camera was functional. Oh my God. I then was able to monitor the camera using the HomeEye Pro app on my phone. He's saying that that's the first time that he accessed the Home Pro app on his phone. He's trying to say that he did this on December 22nd, 12/22. I was tasked with reinstalling the exterior camera, known as the light bulb camera, at 1112 King Road to capture some comparison video and audio. I contacted one of the tenants. Yep, sure, go ahead. Sounds great. Upon arrival, I unplugged the power to the current router and removed the camera from the light socket on the exterior of the residence. I then powered on the router I had secured from the residence earlier and installed the camera I secured as evidence earlier into the light socket. While installing the camera, I hear a crack and felt the light bulb base mount become loose. I then was able to monitor the camera using the Home Pro app on my phone. Corporal Brett Payne was able to drive a white-colored vehicle into the view of the camera. Sergeant Dustin Blaker parked a vehicle near the residence and closed the doors and trunk on a vehicle for audio comparison. Can't wait to get my hands on this. A canine unit from Lewis County Sheriff's Office was utilized to capture barking audio comparison from the residence. Let me ask you guys a question, just out of curiosity. Why wouldn't you do this shit? Okay. Why wouldn't you do this shit? I don't know, a week into it, maybe 2 weeks at the most. 12/22. The dog shit everybody's talking about, like, that was known to you day one. Remember, I talked about what's on the body worn camera about the dog barking that night. Murphy's not there, and I'm telling you that bark sounds identical to the night of 113 at like 417. So upon completion of the data collection, I powered off the evidentiary router and removed the camera from the light socket. In doing so, the base detached from the camera and a wire became disconnected. I gathered the router and camera, placed them back into their evidentiary bags, and returned them to the secure computer forensic lab. I reinstalled the current camera and reconnected the power to the new router. I connected Els to ensure she could access her camera, and she responded in the affirmative. Corporal Payne and I then ensured the residence was locked and left the residence without further incident. Wait a second. You went into her home? When does it say that you went into her home? Jesus Christ. Do you think Aunt Taylor was reading this shit like they did what? What the fuck are they doing? Dustin Blaker's first report number 89, wrote on 12/28, the day of basically Brian Culver's arrest, or it's about to be. On November 13th, 2022, he writes this on 12/28, 2022, Dustin Blaker, who's now a captain, I think, over there. On November 13th, 2022, at around 13:47 hours, I interviewed Bethany Funk, 147, at the Moscow Police Department. Dustin Blaker, same day, 12/28. On November 16th, at around 11:55 hours, I met with Bethany Funk at her dad's office. And then that was the whole Nevada interview. Then Dustin Blaker on January 4th, his third report. On November 21st, 2022, I traveled from Moscow, Idaho to Meridian, Idaho to drop off evidence at the Idaho State Police Forensic Laboratory located in Meridian. After getting evidence checked into the lab on 11/21, he's checking. Remember the submission at the beginning of the episode? It said, look at this. Blaker went and dropped shit off on 11/21. But yet it's the cigarette butts, okay? He refuses to say what it is. He says, after getting evidence checked into the lab, I signed for a DNA profile which had been generated by the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab. What? This DNA profile was collected from a knife sheath, which was found by Idaho State Police investigators from District 2 during the initial search of 1122 King Road on November 13th. The sheath had been transported to the lab by Idaho State Police troopers. The DNA profile was stored in a vial, which was then packaged in an evidence envelope by Idaho State Police lab technicians and properly sealed with evidence tape. I signed the package showing I was taking possession of it on 11/21/2022, sometime between 16:30, which is 4:30, and 5 o'clock. How do you not know what time? I mean, you're supposed to be. I mean, that shit's so documented to like the actual like second. Once I took possession, let me tell you why they don't know anything about this. Oh wait, that's how I know. Because they deleted the existence on 1/4/2023. Why can't you just pull up and look at the evidence tag? This is the IGG. When do you think Ann Taylor received this report? Report 93. It says transportation of DNA profile to Othram Inc. in Houston, Texas. That's the narrative of it. You think that Ann Taylor had that anytime before 2024, you're absolutely off your fucking mind. She did not. She did not. According to Othram's chain of custody, by the way, on November 22nd, they received it at 3 p.m. That's off of what they've spoken about publicly. Now, he says, once I took possession of the DNA profile, it stayed in the box provided to me by Idaho State Police Lab until 11/22 at around 3:30, when I removed it from the box and placed it in a small backpack. The backpack then stayed in my possession. The only time I was not physically holding the backpack was when I went through TSA. Do you guys ever watch those TSA shorts on like YouTube or God, they fucking crack me up. Everybody's getting pat down like cheap feels. Anyway, so that's the only time he didn't have it. I arrived in Houston, Texas around 2 o'clock Central Time. I traveled to Othram. Does not say that he went with another, Idaho State Police person. I arrived at Othram at around 15:10 hours. I handed the envelope with the DNA profile to a JF employee for Othram. I said his name earlier, John Founder or something like that. We completed the chain of evidence paperwork, both on the envelope and also on a form provided to me by Othram. I have burned all of these files onto a DVD, which was booked into evidence. Give me that motherfucking shit now. He doesn't say where it's at. I have burned all of these files onto a DVD, which was booked into evidence. When? So Dustin Blaker You have wrote 3 reports up until 1/4/2023. You think that Dustin Blaker, this is all he's done? He was the one doing the most. Dustin Blaker then on 1/4 says, hey, by the way, towing of vehicles and removal of ECUs. On November 29th, I was tasked with having 5 vehicles from 1122 King Road moved to the city shop. Remember, they took the 2 out earlier. I have no idea why he's only removing 3. Officer Morris was with Agent A when he removed the ECUs from a Ford Explorer belonging to Ethan Chapin and a Cruise belonging to Maddie. Officer Morris took possession of the ECUs and I assisted him with booking them into property. But on 11/29, I met with an FBI agent out of Salt Lake City. I assisted agent with removing the ECUs from the Jeep Wrangler belonging to Ethan. After the ECU was removed, I took possession of it and booked it into property. So they had 3. Dustin Blaker. On November 13th, 2022, I was at 1122 King Road assisting with a homicide investigation and search warrant at the address. Blank, blank, blank was called to remove the 4 deceased and then transport them to Spokane for autopsies to be performed. At around 21:28 hours, I had Officer Jay Waters follow blank when they transported. Once at blank, I watched PH, blah, 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 place name tags on the 4 deceased along with corresponding numbers to help identify them. Brett Payne waits all the way until January 10th, 2023, which is the first day that Ann Taylor asked for discovery, and he writes up the Molly McMichael interview that he did on November 23rd. He also wrote up all of his interviews that he did with like Emily Allant and whoever else he interviewed. Emily Allant also told me she saw a knife lying on the floor at the top of the stairs when she went inside. Emily Allant described the knife as a steak knife. It was later determined that Hunter Johnson grabbed this knife when he entered the house. Emily Allant stated that she remained outside after she walked out of the residence until law enforcement arrived. Oh, Dustin Blaker's fifth report. January 11th, 5th report. On November 13th at around 14:19 hours, I conducted an interview with Hunter Chapin. Dustin Blaker. On November 11th at around 14:27 hours, I conducted an interview with Josie. Well, I don't understand how he writes November 11th, but he interviewed Josie 2 days before the incident, allegedly. As well as Dustin Blaker, November 13th, at around 14:41 hours, I conducted an interview with Ava Wood. He's the one that buried the fact that Ava was like, hey, a couple weeks ago on October 14th at around 1 o'clock in the morning, I heard what was a male walking up to the door and trying to open her door. Ava stated that she had her deadbolt and door were both locked. Ava told me she saw photos posted on Snapchat by Kaylee showing Kaylee and Maddie had been at the corner club and the grub truck. Ava was not able to tell me anything else about this incident. We're waiting on that one. Literally 2 weeks before, Dustin Blaker, remember Ann Taylor's like, what the fuck? Wouldn't you want to know about that? Dustin Blaker, what you doing, buddy? Well, that was his 6th report. Dustin Blaker's 7th report on 1/11. On November 14th, so the day after, at around 4 o'clock, I called KF to arrange an interview with her. KF had already left Moscow and was heading to southern Idaho to be with her family. KF told me she had contact with B and D on 11/12/2022. D arrived at her residence at 10:30 and Bethany arrived at her residence at around 11:30. Kay lives at 7, whatever the Taylor Avenue is. B and D were at her residence for 2 to 3 hours. I think this is the Fitzgerald girl. Fitzgerald stated she walked them past the Whites. Sometime before 2. But she could not positively tell me. Who he's referring to as KF stated she stayed on Taylor and then turned around, and she was not sure what route they took home for sure, but felt they kept walking west on Taylor toward King. KF stated that there was a group of 3 or 4 other females with Bethany and Dylan at the time. KF did state she was drunk at the time and she could not recall all the events and everyone who was present with the group. Do you understand that this is directly contradicting what both of them have said? Kay stated she thought LM was with the group, which is, yep. Kay was not able to tell me anything else. Guess who was on Ann Taylor's witness list? This person. Again, another Dustin Blaker. Another Dustin Blaker interview. Dustin Blaker, 1/11/2023, writing this report. For something that he did on November 14th. Again, at around 5 o'clock, he contacted Eric Grower in the front lobby of the police department. Eric Grower had contacted Moscow Police Department earlier in the day and stated that he is a local Uber driver and he gave Kaylee and Maddie a ride home on 11/13/2022 from the downtown area. Grower had been in the Spokane Coeur d'Alene area when he contacted us and stated he would not be back until about 5. What? You just wrote it around 5:10. You contacted him. So now we're going to explain that why you contacted him at 5:10. Okay. I asked Eric how he knew Kaylee and Maddie. Eric stated that he drives for Uber and Lyft, and Kaylee and Maddie had become some of the regular customers. Nowhere does he say that Dylan had texted him, or maybe he did, and he just doesn't write it in his report. Next. Dustin Blaker. January 1st, he writes this up, or January 11th, he writes his report for something he did on January 6th. So where he just totally doesn't, like, Everything that man did in this case, he didn't write shit. No reports. Here, on January 6th at around 7 in the morning, he said he retrieved evidence from MPD evidence technician Tim Smallridge. I signed for the items and transported them to the Idaho State Police Forensic Lab in Meridian, Idaho. Refer to evidence tech Tim Smallridge records for what specific items were transported. Once I arrived in Meridian, I transferred the items from MPD to the Idaho State Police intake receptionist. All items were signed for the chain of custody. I was then given several items the lab had tested and were able to be returned to MPD for storage. I signed for all items and completed the chain of custody paperwork on the bags. Prior to coming back to Moscow, I stopped at Dylan Mortensen's residence in Boise to retrieve the personal items which had been released to her. Those were just released to her just a couple days ago. I packaged these belongings into my vehicle and I returned to Moscow. Once back in Moscow, I booked all the evidence from the state lab back into property. I left Dylan's personal items locked in the vehicle I was driving, and on 1/9/2023, I transported these items to the city shop and I placed them in a secure garage. What the fuck? This is Michael Proctor, you guys. What the fuck? He left these items that they needed in his vehicle for 3 days. One item of note is as the items were being loaded into the vehicle, I was driving a Ford Fusion. Oh, for fuck's sake. He took the Ford Fusion up there, right? We were able to get everything into the vehicle. What? I left Dylan's personal items locked in the vehicle I was driving. And on 1/9/2023, I transported these items to the city shop and I placed them in a secure garage. One item of note is as the items were being loaded into the vehicle I was driving, a Ford Fusion, he has a big, huge truck. We were able to get everything into the vehicle. He says, we. Who the fuck did you go with? Why aren't you saying who you went with? We were able to get everything into the vehicle except a small table. We attempted several times to get the table into the vehicle, but it was not going to fit. Dylan Mortensen stated that they did not care if the table was returned, so she had her husband break the table and place it in the vehicle. Dude, I forgot that he did this. I mean, I didn't, but got it. On 1/10/2023, I told Ann Taylor, defense counsel for the suspect, about why and who broke the table. The fuck? Don't you think you should have asked her prior to breaking it? Hey, we can't get this in, so we're going to have to make another trip. Or, I mean, if you guys want it sooner, I mean, I don't know what to do here. It won't fit. So we broke the fucker. We broke the table that you guys wanted to, have. Blaker signed it. Next report, Dustin Blaker. On January 10th, at around, I don't know, I met with Ann Taylor and her team at the Moscow Police Department. Taylor is the defense attorney for Brian Kober. Taylor had arranged to go through the garbage sent to us from Pennsylvania by FBI investigators. Items from Madison's room and Xana's room, 2 vehicles belonging to Ethan Chapin, and personal items belonging to Ethan, Dylan, and Bethany. After looking at the garbage, Taylor identified several items she felt we could discard since they contained perishable goods and they had started to spoil. We placed these items on a shelf located in the northeast corner of the storage garage at the police department. Taylor also identified several items she wanted us to keep until she saw reports of these items. Taylor was good with where we were keeping the mattresses, bed frames, nightstand, shelf, and sheets from Madison's room and Xana's room. I escorted Taylor and her team to the city shop, and they went through personal items were removed from 112 King Road weeks earlier. These items belong to Bethany and Dylan and Ethan. When Taylor was done, she identified several items she wanted MPD to hold, and she was going to request an order from the judge to take these items and have them tested. Listen to his report. She wanted to get an order from the judge to have these items tested. These items were placed in cardboard boxes and placed away from the other items so they would not be accidentally released. Taylor and her team looked at both vehicles while at the shop. Taylor stated she would contact Bill Thompson's office and would advise him when she felt items could be released. Oh, for fuck's sake. Next, oh, here we go. On November 17th, the Danny Vargas writes this up in January of 2023 for something that happened on November 17th. They tried to make it seem like it was just tips provided. On November 17th, 2022, Detective Chris Engel with PPD provided me with an email with information regarding several Pullman home invasions involving a possible suspect of Jose Cruz. I forwarded this email to the FBI Moscow tip line to be assigned and followed up with. You mean you gave it to Dustin Blaker, right? On December 13th, 2022, I saw an article online of the recent arrest of SH and whatever. Blah, blah, blah. That's what led to Blaker being over there in Pullman. Was on November 17th, well within plenty of days. They did the TA timely advance reports. Vargas, man. What the fuck is that? Dustin Blaker here. On February 2nd, 2023, at around 8 o'clock in the morning, Brett Payne and I responded to this secure storage, this is Blaker, to the secure storage area at the city shop to take photographs of property belonging to Dylan Mortensen and another unidentified female. MPD had previously removed items belonging to Dylan, Bethany, Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. Items had also been removed from a spare bedroom on the first floor. Ann Taylor, defense counsel, was granted permission to go through these items to see what could be released back to the proper owners. Prior to Miss Taylor being given a chance to look at these items, property belonging to Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee had already been released. MPD had also given Dylan back her belongings, but we were able to get her to return them. Miss Taylor requested we set aside the following items. Items from Dylan. Handwritten note. Pink and white blanket with red hearts. Pink and white cloth, possibly used as a curtain or decoration. Black and white Van shoes. Red and white unknown brand shoes. Black and white Converse shoes. Items from the spare bedroom. Adidas black and white short sleeve t-shirt, size small. And the green and pink coat, unknown brand. The above items were placed in cardboard boxes and set aside until Miss Taylor could get a court order stating she can take the items. On February 2nd, he does this. He writes the report on February 2nd. A second. Riley Nolan here. Oh my God. Okay. So on June 8th, 2023, Rylene received a call. It's for additional items for testing. Per Talbot, the defense requested items be sent to a private lab. He pulled the requested items and sprayed them with Blue Star. This is all bullshit. How the fuck did he get to the items that were set aside at the city garage? Okay, so MPD, it says the above items were placed in cardboard boxes and set aside until Miss Taylor can get a court order stating she can take the items. This was at the secure storage area at the city shop to take photos of property belonging to Dylan. So they're in a secure area at the city shop in Moscow, Idaho. Now, when did Talbot go on down to Moscow? He pulled the requested items. He pulled them from where? Well, guess what, guys? They were at the secure city shop. So he goes to Moscow, says, hey, let me get in the city shop. I'm going to pull these requested items and spray them with Blue Star. 2 items, a coat and a blanket, both from Dylan Mortensen, had a positive reaction. Ready? But yet, when they got a hold of the pink and green jacket, everything came up negative. He would like to have those items submitted to us for testing. I asked what the request for examination was, and he stated foreign DNA. Why are you spraying? Why are you putting Blue Star on it? I expressed application of Blue Star on these items, on these types of items, was not the ideal first step. You guys, these were set aside in February. So Dustin Blaker lets Talbot know, hey, they want these items, and dude, there looks like there's blood on this shit. So between February 2nd, when Ann Taylor's like on it, like doing all this shit, and this isn't wrote up till she talks to Talbot on 6/8, 4 fucking months later. So when was it sprayed with Blue Star? Like, how long? Like, why are you testing something for foreign DNA? It's degraded DNA. Would you wait all that long? You would never do that. Nobody would. Dude, this is insane. Do you guys see why Blaker is number 1 stunna for me? Blaker, number 1. 27 years over there. 27 years of running the streets. Who is a sergeant for 27 years before he was not even a detective until after this whole ordeal, and now he's a captain? This is bad. You guys, this is the same that went on in the Karen Reed case. It's the same. I mean, it's so bad that Rylene Nolan had to call Bill Thompson and Ashley Jennings and say, we have to talk. Oh, guess who he was with? Oh, Detective Payne. Him and Payne. You guys. Oh, shit. Dustin Blaker. Oh. The next report 115, I think it's probably only like 8 of his. Dustin Blaker. A few weeks after November 13th, I can't really tell you when. I was at work when I was asked by Maria, the analyst with the FBI, if we had a way to run our records to see if we had any license plates for a white Hyundai Elantra, 2011 to 2013. This was on February 22nd, 2023. He said, I was able to run all vehicles through the Spillman, and I had DE, it's the parking enforcement officer, to run vehicles through Ames. Ames is our parking ticket software. DE provided me with a printout of the plates, and I handed it to Maria so it could be provided to the FBI techs who were checking plates and looking for leads. This is why Ann Taylor is saying the FBI knows that it's 7 charts. 7 charts, different cars. Why would the FBI tell you, Blaker, to only provide her with 2011 to 2013 white Honda Elantras? And he writes this up on February 22nd, 2023. Because Ann Taylor's asking a lot of questions. This is into like the first, second, and third supplemental requests. And so here Blaker has to write up this. And he's like, a few weeks after November 13th. Why can't you give the exact date? Because that's what they need. What's the date that the FBI wanted to know about white Honda Elantras? He said, I was recently provided with the printout of these plates, and I provided to MPD records department so they could be scanned to the case. He's so full of shit. He is so full of shit. God damn, man. He is full of more fucking shit. He blows paint out of the water. Like, blows him. Dustin Blaker, same day, February 22nd. On February 22nd, he writes this report the same day he did his work. I was listening to the tip line phone calls. I was listening to the tip line. I was listening to tip line phone calls, and a tip from a J.E. from Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania was left on February 16th at 6:49. In the tip, this person stated her brother, S.E., and a R.K. used to be friends with Brian Kober when they were in high school. This person stated that she felt it would be in our best interest to talk to R about Brian or about somebody. I called Jay, and she confirmed her brother S and R were friends with Brian in high school, and Brian had been in her mother's house during that time period. Jay was not sure if it would be very helpful for us to talk to R, but wanted us to know about this. I asked Jay if her brother S would talk to us as well. Jay told me she was not sure, but would reach out to him and see if he would call us. I was able to locate info on Jay on TLO. I used this info to find info on S and R. I will provide this information to Brett Payne so it can be provided to the FBI in Pennsylvania so they can reach out to S and R for potential interviews. Dustin Blaker writes a report literally the same day that he does something. Say it ain't so. Must have been a slow day. Oh my God. Wow. Dustin Blaker. Item 669 verbatim DVR with video surveillance from the front lobby of MPD. On March 21st, 2023, I was asked to see if we still had video surveillance from the front lobby area of the PD from November 13th. I was informed Kohlberger's defense team had requested any video showing where any witnesses may have been kept on the day of the homicide. I checked the cameras to the front lobby and the camera in the training room. I was only able to recover video from 3 cameras which show the front lobby area. I burned the video to a DVD and booked it into property. It needs to be noted, none of these cameras are equipped with audio. Okay. When Detective Payne took the stand and he was asked by Ann Taylor, so how many different cars did the FBI give you? Oh, there was just one. Well, Officer Brett Payne on 3/29/2023 writes a report and says, on Tuesday, March 28th, 2023, I received a packet containing a CD of vehicle identification charts, plural, from the FBI, as there were 7 guys. The FBI additionally provided hard copy photos of these charts. I booked the CD and the photo charts into MPD evidence on Wednesday, March 29th, 2023. I mean, fuck all. Fuck all. This is ridiculous. Payne said only one car, make and model, and his January 23rd, 2025 testimony. Yeah. Stellar job, Payne. Okay. On March 29th, 2023, Officer Payne writes up a report on for March 12th, 2023. Now, the same day that Ashley Jennings writes up hey, on March 29th, we're giving you a discovery dump. Okay. Now I know why. Okay. Because on March 29th at 10:21, Payne waits to write up this report that happened on March 12th, which is Payne received an email from MPD Tisdall advising someone had called claiming responsibility for the homicides. The caller hung up without providing any information. The number the call originated from was blank. Like, they have it. I searched TLO and requested assistance from the FBI in looking into the number. No available databases had any information on the identity of the caller. Are you kidding me? End report. They did nothing further to figure out who pranked them during you're trying to obstruct justice right here, right? This is mind-blowing. Like, so you didn't do anything? But again, Ashley Jennings didn't probably want to include this in that dump. Okay. I've pointed this out before, but it's even more relevant now. Payne on March 29th, 2023, he wrote up like a bunch of different reports. And he said that on Wednesday, March 29th, 2023, the same day that he's writing this, he said, I attached the 2 documents pertaining to Kohlberger's application for the WSU PD internship. These documents were provided to me by a member of the interview panel for the internship. Literally just 2 reports before that. On Wednesday, March 29th, 2023, I contacted WSU PD Assistant Chief Don Daniels and requested all case file information concerning Kohlberger and the homicide investigation. Later on March 29th, 2023, Assistant Chief Daniels emailed me a link with the requested information. I downloaded the provided information and attached it to this case electronically. I thought Jenkins brought you everything. Why are you needing anything from Don Daniels, right? Well, because Ann Taylor asked. And so he needed, but then he acts like that's not what he did. He's like, on Wednesday, March 29th, I attached the 2 documents pertaining to the Koberger application for the WSUPD internship. These documents were provided to me by a member of the interview panel for the internship. Are you fucking kidding me? Literally 2 hours earlier, he writes up a report that Don Daniels emailed him a link with the requested information that he had asked for, like, just give me the whole case. So Chief Jenkins never really brought you that, which you had wrote up in your stupid little fucking PCA. I mean, just the shit. Payne asked for the file from Don Daniels. Later, he sends a link. He should have already had that. Payne then writes this up like he got it from the person that was on part of the interview panel, which was Jenkins. This is sick. These people are just fucking sick, man. I'm telling you what, being honest, though, gets you nowhere, so you might as well just be a shitbag. You'll stay employed, too. Lie, suck ass, suck dick. This is bad. I love looking back at my notes. Report 182, I said, my note says, what the fuck? This is the report. On April 7th, 2023, Lawrence Mowry says, I received an email from Snapchat in reference to the warrant served on November 21st, 2022 for the account of Xana, Ethan, associated with Kaylee, associated with somebody else, and associated with somebody else. This is from November 21st. Oh, shit, this might be good. Dylan, Bethany, Kaylee, and then a J. I think it's, I don't know, it could be a JD. This email stated that Snap discovered a technical issue appears to have impacted the records produced on or about November 28, 2022. The email continued by stating, as a result of the technical issues, Snap may not have produced certain data responsive to your search warrant. These people are sick. Now we know what this is. This is the gap. Hey, Dylan, all your shit's missing. Where's all your shit, Dylan? This motherfucker. How would you receive an email from Snap on April 7th for something that you did on November 21st? Like, they just got back to him all these months later, just like, oh, hey, by the way, guess what? We're writing you to let you know that we discovered a technical issue which appears to have impacted the records produced on or about November 28th, 2022. The records that we gave you on November 28th that you asked us for. The email produced certain data responsive to your search warrant. Therefore, after what is this? After we remedied the technical issue, Snap is regenerating the production responsive to your search warrant. This was linked to Snapchat reference number whatever, which was the reference for the warrant served on Snapchat for the previous accounts. I was able to log in, Maury says, into the law enforcement portal and download the data. This data was stored in the secure forensic computer lab at the Moscow Police Department. I just find that really hard to believe that Snapchat's just realizing on April 7th, hey, we need to write Moscow and let them know that their warrant that they asked for back and that was served on November 21st to us. There's something wrong with it. Oh boy. Okay, that's enough. Any other? No. All right, that should end us. I was trying to look for one last one from Detective Blaker. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Please. Detective Brett Payne. Well, it says email and mail tips number 157. On Thursday, June 29th, I provided MPD with a thumb drive containing all email tips received in reference to this case from January 13th, 2023 to June 27th, 2023. Well, where's the for then? The emails were converted to PDF format prior to being provided to MPD records. Who did that? Do you understand what that would do? I don't want them. What do you mean all in? What? The emails were converted to PDF format prior to being provided to MPD records. Like, well, who did it? Who did that? In addition, I also gave all current hard copy mail-in tips. People mailed in tips? What the fuck? Who was mailing in tips? What the fuck are you people doing? In addition, I also gave all current hard copy mail-in tips to MPD records to be attached to this case as well. They were, dude, what? Get out of here. Get out. Who is mailing? Dude, I need to see a copy of this. I need to see those. We're going to have a night where we can just read I'm sure the fuckerage that people sent in. Okay. Now, on June 29th, the big day here, 2023, the Indian Mountain Lakes and aerial surveillance. This was from on Thursday, June 29th, 2023. Payne says, I located 2 thumb drives containing video surveillance footage of the access gates at Indian Mountain Lakes gated community where Kohlberger's parents' home was located, and aerial surveillance footage and photos of the Kohlberger residence. I verified. Oh my God. Holy shit. You know, I just thought about this. I bet you would have to get some serious approval to be able to put a drone up and be flying over that area if it's a private gated community. So how did the news ever do that when they were giving us all that footage? They probably got it from fucking this shit. These 2 thumb drives. On Thursday, June 29, 2023, I located 2 thumb drives containing video surveillance footage. And one of them is the aerial surveillance. I verified the thumb drives contained the correct footage and videos and booked them into MPD evidence. Just booked them in. It should be noted the thumb drives were in a locked cabinet in my office since they were received. The thumb drives were not initially booked as they were in an envelope not recognized as containing them. What the fuck? You used it. You used this in your PCA. What are you talking about? He cites this in the PCA. He talks about this in the PCA. That's what the whole Brian Culver being seen on the 16th of December is all about. It's from this shit. Oh my God. This is so crazy. What lying bastards. Dustin Blaker, same day, 6/29/2023. So Dustin and Payne are like tag team, and I got to write my report. Oh, thumb drive. Oh, so the same day that Payne finds a thumb drive, Blaker finds thumb drives. Thumb drive with license plates and vehicle from WSU parking. I said, ha, metadata on WSU thumb drives. I said, defense asked in discovery. I said, last report said November 25th to December 12th. Now this one says only until December 7th. Between November 25th and December 7th, I received a thumb drive from WSU Police Department. He writes this report on 6/29, and for stuff that he says he fucking did on November 25th through December 7th. The thumb drive had a listing of license plates WSU parking had on file. I provided this thumb drive to an FBI employee to be transferred to their shared drive. I then placed the thumb drive in my file cabinet in my personal office. I am booking the thumb drive at this time to make sure it can be discovered to the defense. I said, oh, imagine that. Again, Brett Payne on 6/29/2023, Dustin Blaker on 6/29/2023. These two buffoons find, oh, God, look at these thumb drives. Just so we know, the protective order on IGG came in and was wrote in June of 2023. So June here, 2023, when Ann Taylor is having a huge motion to compel, they had from up until 7/14/2023. So her big motion to compel, they had a hearing on 6/27/2023. I mean, I don't know how much, like, I can prove. First of all, I don't know how people are investigators and are not good with timestamps and dates. Like, what the fuck? That's how you're able to put people's stories and say, yeah, you're off your rocker. But you guys, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. If it's not booked into evidence, it cannot be discovered. And then Bill Thompson's over there getting all red. It doesn't exist. We don't have it. And it's like, Bill, you know what? Yeah. The prosecution is the arm of all these people, and you need to go get the shit that you know exists because you were running the show. You and Ashley were running the show. The shit that you don't have is the stuff that you use in a probable cause affidavit. You are lying. And if people want to say, when I hear the words, yeah, it's a tactic, everybody does it, these are the games that they play, that should infuriate you. And then when people say, oh, well, we got the right guy, the fuck you did. Fuck you. We have no idea who the fuck you got. Fuck around and find out. FOIA and find out. We'll see you back. This shit pisses me off. They hid behind IGG. I'm going to prove it. See you on the next one. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, members, subscribers, lurkers, all the new members. Brittany, plant at H2O. Well, damn, Lana, you're going to solve this shit. We're going to go get all the records. FOIA round. FOIA. finally working. CK Brian C. Koberger, Trap and Trace. Have a good